For my overview of the class, I'll be talking about um, a lot of projects that we did, personal speakers, and summaries of the class. So overall, I thought that the class was a very interesting experience because it was the first time the class has been taught, and I don't know where the class can improve. I thought it was pretty good. Um, and I also liked how we had speakers coming in and talking to us every week and giving us different insight on what we would do. Um, I also thought it was very interesting to talk to the different Polynesians on my team and understanding their culture. I feel like them bringing their culture from whichever island they came from is very important to the overall diversity of the University of Washington and our football team. I think this gives our team a stronger brotherhood with understanding what this person is really like playing for and their lifestyle that they came from. I think that helps you play harder for the person across from you. A couple of assignments that I want to be talking about were, here it goes. How Polynesians have shaped the University of Washington. I think they shaped the University of Washington in creating stable, diverse environments. And by that, I mean, it's not so much we are forced to talk to them, to people of different cultures, but being in the same class and understanding them can help you in the future with tools of like learning how to communicate with people of different backgrounds and things like that. I also feel like it's pretty taboo for people to think that some people come to college just to play football, but a lot of Pacific Islanders do that. A lot of African Americans do that. A lot of people do that in general. And I believe that understanding both sides of that coin is a good thing. The way that I was able to ingratiate myself with a lot of Polynesians when I first got here was a program called LEAP. And LEAP is, we came in early as freshmen and we just got to know everyone before school actually started, which I thought was very helpful in trying to understand like these different people before we got into workouts and all that and how to communicate with them. Another thing is, I believe that giving us such a dynamic way of learning with other people, specifically back to football, like us going through hardships together, us playing together, and like everybody's tired in practice, everybody's still trying to go hard. That's just a way to help understand what someone's gone through and what can push them. And I believe in a good or a bad way that can be used to motivate someone. So like in a good way, it would be like, that they're trying to make money for their mom or something and back home. So you can use that as motivation, like during practice. Like, hey, your mom wouldn't want you to be doing this. Outside of football, like if they're drinking or something, this isn't good for you if you're trying to get money for your family or whatever. So you can use it in that way or a negative way, which, everybody knows how you can use it in a negative way. Another thing that I learned about in this class was the importance of family among Polynesian males. And I learned this when I was talking to Leatu and Julius in our class. They talked about how important the family culture is in Tonga and in Samoa. And we also learned this when you brought in like the bull figure with a whole bunch of legs on it. And you said it kind of resembled like everybody putting a piece in to build an entire family. And I thought that was pretty interesting because I don't really look at things like that. I just look at things as in a whole and not like breaking it down into this is how they set it up because it fits their culture. I normally do it as in, oh, this is a nice bowl. It looks good. Let's see. Another thing that I learned is that no matter where you're from, a lot of people that come to America or in America playing football play for the same goal, which is to make millions of dollars in the NFL with an American dream. So something like that can give you a common ground to relate to Polynesians or people of different cultures. And I think having that common ground makes successful teams, seeing that like if you know you both want to be successful in the future or anything like that, that you won't let each other down. So you give max effort to try and be good for your teammate. Another thing we talked about was how like Polynesian men, African American men can be seen in two different lights. So at first we talked about how they would say African American men are uncontrollable, mentally unstable, and very violent and forgetful. And I didn't agree with a lot of those, but I see where it comes from, because in the NFL there are a couple people that make bad decisions, and that can weigh on an entire group of people, such as Antonio Brown, what he's been doing with his wife, Ray Rice, things like that. But I also believe that in any culture, male or female, with any race, there could be these problems, but they're not as publicized because either they're not a minority or because they're not as popular as big time athletes. This thing says that mental health can affect Polynesian males to make decisions they normally wouldn't. Like I said earlier, this is really big now with Antonio Brown and the news he's making with his CTE. I believe that so back in 2015, Antonio Brown got hit pretty hard in the head. And ever since then, he's never acted the same. So when we bring up CTE, I always relate to him a lot, because it seems like he's never going to be the same person he was before. He's still a good football player. He still can help a team win games. But with his attitude, a lot of coaches don't want to have to deal with that. They'll rather get someone that's maybe not as good but has a better attitude and easier to do in the locker room. So during this CTE search that we did, we found out that blows to the head can impact personality and make decisions that were originally simple very hard to make. So that's another pretty big thing. Let's see. Another thing we did was the group questions with our first group. So our group, we made our classmates watch a movie, and we asked questions such as, do you believe that transgender males or females should be put into their own sporting events, such as LGBTQ Olympic Games? Because it does seem sort of unfair to have a born male into a female sport, because we have more testosterone and more muscle capacity. So I don't believe it'd be fair. I feel like you should make our own Olympic Games, but then you don't want to separate people like that, because that's going to cause problems from there. We also ask questions like, how is toxic masculinity referred to in this film? Do you think Christianity is another method to put the LGBT community into a box, sort of like trying to separate them? Because in the Bible, it says a whole bunch of things about male and female. It says nothing about male and male or female and female. So I believe indirectly it's putting those people, I don't want to say those people, LGBT community people into a box, which isn't good for our community. We asked questions about Tonga, ladies, Lati's, L-E-T-I-T-I. We asked questions about indigenous cultures, and I feel like all those questions really wrap the class up in a very good way, seeing how we learned about all this in a short time. This was everybody's first time taking the class, since this was the first time it was being taught. And I feel like overall it was taught very well. I feel like having speakers come in and socialize with us so we can listen to them, get their point of view, was very good. And yeah, that's the end of my wrap up and overall view of the class.